how's it going? Welcome to Swirl Culinary. This is Aaron and Miss Thomas, and today we're gonna make pretty fancy French pastry. It's called Pate Choux, okay? The name literally translates to cabbage dough. So I promise you there's no cabbage in it. When the cream puff puffs up, it looks like a head of cabbage almost. So you guys will see when they come out. So let's just talk about some ingredients real quick. This is one of those things I'm going to talk about today, that baking is very, very precise, and I'm going to show you why for certain reasons today. So let's just go over the ingredients. So I have 6 tablespoons of butter. That is equal to 84 grams of butter. That is equal to 3 fluid ounces of butter, okay? Cut up rather small chunks, okay? And we'll explain why. 4 eggs. Don't worry about the size of the egg. I mean, it can make a little bit of a variable, but eggs are eggs at this point. So just get 4 large eggs that you can. We have 128 grams of sifted flour, okay? We'll talk about this, but that equals, if you don't have a kitchen scale at home, that equals about a cup. Okay, so 128 grams of flour. I got a little bit of white sugar. I got a little bit of plain salt, okay? And I got 1 cup of milk. So the first thing we're gonna do is over here on the stove, I just have a saucepan, and we're gonna bring our milk to a boil. So we're also gonna add our butter, our sugar, and our salt right into this, okay? So let me grab the butter. So all the butter, the 6 tablespoons go right in there. We want the butter to melt right as the milk starts to come to a boil, so that's why I cut it into small chunks. Okay. So to this, we are going to add 1/4 teaspoon, the smallest one, of salt. And for this one, use use cooking salt. Don't use kosher salt. So 1/4. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of our table sugar, okay? You can actually do this without the table sugar. It just will be a less sweet dough. You can also do this with water instead of milk. There's a couple reasons you would want to do that. There's a couple reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. We can talk about that more in class. Okay, so I'm not going to stir it. I'm not going to do anything. We're just going to bring this to a boil, okay? So let's talk about the flour. So let's just walk through it real quick. I'm going to melt this, bring it to a boil, and we're going to stir in our flour to create a dough, and then we'll do some other steps. So let's just talk about flour real quick, okay? So the reason I measured the flour and then sifting it helps get the lumps out because I'm going to mix it up. If you guys get a chance, absolutely I recommend buying a kitchen scale. It's one of the best investments you can have for your kitchen. Let me show you why. So these are 2 cups of flour. They look almost identical, right? So let's weigh them out and see. So that one weighs 260, 255 grams, okay? This one, 230 grams. So you may not think that 30 grams is a huge difference, but it absolutely can make a huge difference. The only change I made between, one of these is tightly packed, one of these is just basically scooped and leveled, okay? So the reason we use the kitchen scale is so you can get exactly how much flour the recipe calls for, okay? So it's honestly a really good tool to have. Today we'll also be using the KitchenAid with the paddle attachment, okay? We're using that, so we're bringing our milk to a boil. I also have my oven set to 375. We have industrial ovens at home. I would recommend 400, okay? So preheat your oven to 400. So we're just gonna wait for this to melt and come to a boil. Okay guys, as you can see, the milk is coming to a boil, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it off the heat, and I'm gonna slowly just sort of whisk in. So I'm just using a rubber spatula for this. We're just gonna get that flour in there. The reason I sifted it is this is gonna stir up a much better, and then if it wasn't unsifted, so get the rest of that flour in there. Okay. I'm gonna get this all incorporated, and I'm gonna put it back on the heat and cook it. So you can see it start to come together. It's coming like a dough right now. So if you see any lumps, press them down, smash them down. Get all this together. Get the stuff off the sides. I'll show you a reason for that as well. Get all the stuff, get it out towards the middle. Okay, so look at the bottom of the bowl. It's clean. That's fine for right now, okay? So we're gonna keep cooking this. If you're doing this with a kitchen thermometer at home, we're gonna cook this dough to 175 degrees. A lot of you guys don't have that at home, so I'm gonna do it like you guys. We're gonna go by feel and by look, okay? So just keep moving it around, don't let it burn. So after a while, there will be a film that starts to form on the bottom and on the sides. When it comes to that, I'll show you. And what that means is the flour is broken down enough, and it's going to hold a lot of, it's going to let steam basically let the cream puffs rise. We're gonna break the flour down. Basically, it hits a certain temperature, it breaks down, and then you can trap water, and that'll turn into steam. There's no baking powder. There's no yeast in this. This is a dough that just rises by steam and steam alone. Okay. Okay. So you can start to see it come together. It's creating a ball. This is a nice dough. So Pate Choux is actually one of the oldest, doughs that we make. It dates back to like the 15th, 16th century. These people were making it in castles, so it's just a cool thing that we're still doing it. A lot of people are intimidated by this. Don't be. If you follow the instructions, you measure everything correctly, it's going to turn out, I promise you. So we're going to keep cooking. So you guys can start to see how there's a film forming on the bottom of this. That's what I'm looking for. That means the flour is breaking down. And that's what I want it to do. So if you see any lumps, press them down, get them out of the way. Okay, so you guys start to see that film on the bottom. That's what I want. That's the temperature. I'm done. Take it off the heat, turn off your stove. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna use the KitchenAid today. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna beat 4 eggs into this dough, one at a time, all right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my dough off this heat and I'm gonna move it into this pan. And we're literally going to let it cool down for like 2 minutes. We just got to get the temperature down to about 145 so it won't cook the egg when we put them in there, okay? Okay guys, so our dough is cooled down enough where I can start adding the egg in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the paddle attachment today because we're gonna beat these eggs into it. Okay, so we're just going to get that up, get it locked, raise it. You can actually do this by hand with a whisk, no problem. It just takes a little bit more effort, okay? So I'm going to start this on medium. I'm gonna do 1 egg, right in, and just so you guys know, we're using whole egg. I'm not separating anything, we're using whole egg in this. I'm just trying to get an egg incorporated, and then I'm gonna move on to the next egg, okay? And this will actually get really, really kind of liquidy. It'll almost look like cake batter, okay? So if you're doing this by hand, mix it by hand once, get the egg in, add another egg, keep mixing it. Okay, so that egg's in. Gonna drop that in. Oh, that's okay. Okay, we're getting that egg going. So this is where the magic's gonna happen. This 4th egg, okay? So right quick, I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna drop it, and I'm gonna scrape the sides to get everything back to the middle. And then we're gonna add this 4th egg, and then the dough is gonna turn out exactly the way I want it. Okay, so scrape the sides, get everything to the middle. Bring it back up, turn it back on, and let's add our 4th egg. So once this egg gets incorporated, turn it off, all right? You don't want to overbeat the dough. So you can see how liquidy it's getting right now. This is the consistency I'm looking for, okay? See how it's starting to turn to like this? Done. Turn it off at this point. Drop your bowl. Okay, so this is our dough. You can, at this point, you can refrigerate this, use it later. You can use it right now. That's what we're gonna do. So I want to show you guys what this looks like, okay? So this is our dough. Sitting in a nice little, it almost looks like cake batter. It's kind of runny, it's sticky. That's what we want. All that wet, that's steam waiting to be released to puff up our cream puff, okay? Okay, so let me grab a spoon real quick, and then we'll do some piping. So I'm just going to use a spoon to grab it up out of there. Today I'm using piping bags. If you don't have this at home, take a Ziploc bag, cut the zipper part off, open it up like this. This one's got stuck. Okay, open it, hollow it out, take the sides and fold them down, and that'll give you a little bit more room to it gives it more structure to go in, okay? Don't cut the tip until you get the dough in there. So you're just gonna go like this, and you're gonna use the sides of the bag to drag it down with you, okay? Don't use your fingers, it's gonna get stuck. This is a very, very sticky dough. And, it depends on the size of the bag you're doing. You don't have to do all the dough at once, it probably won't fit. I'm probably just gonna do enough to make 2 or 3 cream puffs today. So I don't need a ton of dough. Okay, so I'm gonna do 1 more scoop, okay? Yep, use the sides of the bag to drag it down, okay? So lift the sides back up, squeeze it towards the bottom. Some comes out the top, that's okay, don't worry about it. And then what you can do is you can sort of twist the top off like this, so that way it won't come back out at you. Sort of shake off the excess. At this point, we're gonna move the bowl, and we're just gonna cut, you want a decent sized tip off of it, so about that, so you guys can sort of see how thick my tip is. If you have piping, you know, like the piping tips, you can use those here. That's absolutely okay if you want like some shapes and stuff like that. So we're just gonna do it regular style. I'm gonna use a half cookie sheet with parchment paper on it. The parchment paper serves two purposes. It's gonna help the cream puffs from sticking, and you can also take a pencil and you can draw on this. So if you're making eclairs or something, you can follow the lines and make sure they're all the right size just until you get the hang of it, okay? So for cream puff, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do swirls until it gets to the top like this, okay? And then we'll worry about that part later, okay? So we're just gonna do a swirl. And you wanna make these kind of big. Bigger cream puff means more room to fit whipped cream and the other stuff in there, okay? One more. And so this might take you a little bit to get the hang of it, but I like using piping bags, it's fun. Okay, at this point, let me throw this out real quick. Okay, at this point, so you sort of see how there's the tips like this? I don't want those, okay? So take a little thing of water, wet your finger, just tamp it down, all right? Tamp it down. The water helps it to not stick to your hand, okay? Okay. At this point, the only thing you need to do is you can either put an egg wash on it, which means whisking an egg and brushing the top of it. Cooking spray works absolutely fine. So all I'm gonna do is take some cooking spray. Just gonna spray it. And so what this does is as the cream puff rises, it has a tendency to crack. This is gonna help it not crack, all right? So we're gonna come over here. So like I said, this is a 375-degree oven for me, 400 for you guys at home. I'm gonna open it, I'm gonna put them in. I'm gonna set a timer for 18, you guys set it for 20 at home. And I am not gonna touch this, okay? So this is where you pray you did it right, okay? I don't have a glass front stove. If I open this oven anytime to check on them, it's gonna release the heat and the steam is not gonna be able to rise. So I cannot open this until this is done, okay? I just have to hope upon hope that I did it right. This is where you have faith in your cooking and your recipe, okay? So we'll check on it in 18 minutes, okay guys? Guys, so our 18 minutes is up, so we're gonna turn off the timer and we're gonna see what happened. There goes the timer exactly. So let's come on over. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna open it, see what happened. You guys can see how much those puffed up, right? Those are not fully cooked though. So what I wanna do at this point is I wanna drop my temp to 350. Okay. And I wanna just, if you have one of those ovens that opens from the bottom, you're just gonna leave a crack at the top. I'm just going to close this until the oven turns back on, but you see how I want a lot of the heat to come out. I basically just wanna keep these warm. I don't wanna drag them out right away because they still need to finish cooking. So I have a slit here, the heat can escape. So I'm gonna set another timer for 15 minutes and that's gonna finish cooking. They're not gonna get any more brown or anything like that. So we'll check back in 15 minutes, okay guys? So it's been cooking at 350 for about 15 minutes with the oven cracked. So let's crack it open and see where we're at, okay? So these are our finished cream puffs, okay? So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna let them cool, but the first thing we have to do is we're gonna grab a toothpick or we're gonna poke a hole in the side of them, okay? Alright, hold on 1 second. So when we cut into these, you will basically see that these are hollow inside. That's gonna help us put our fillings and whatever we do in there. So we're just gonna poke a hole right in the side. And this is gonna help the steam escape so they don't get soggy, all right? A lot of people just do it right through the bottom, you know, however you wanna do it. Side, I mean, it's so small that you can't even really notice it. So, you know, just poke them. Okay, so we're gonna let these cool for about 10 minutes and then we're gonna come back and make a whipped topping and we're gonna finish our cream puffs, okay guys? So our cream puffs are cooled. Like, you can literally feel that they're hollow inside, so that's good. So we're gonna make a whipped topping. This is a cream puff. We're gonna put some cream in it, okay? So I have an ice cold KitchenAid bowl. I put it in the freezer. It helps the whipped cream set up a little bit faster, okay? I have heavy whipping cream. I have a little bit of sugar. I have a little bit of cocoa powder over there. Normally I'd put some vanilla in there. I'm not gonna bother with putting vanilla. If you wanna put a teaspoon in, that's absolutely fine. I feel like it, chocolate and the vanilla, I don't think it plays well together, so I'm just gonna leave the vanilla out. But if you wanna put it in, be my guest, okay? So we're gonna come on over to the KitchenAid. So remember, we made whipped cream a couple times before. We made it for the pumpkin pie, and we did it for the chocolate mousse earlier, okay? So basically just get your bowl set. Okay. As far as measurements, it really depends on how many cream puffs you're trying to do. If you're trying to make a lot of cream puffs, you're gonna use about a cup to about 2 cups of the heavy whipping cream. I'm gonna use about half a cup today. We're just gonna make this real quick. You guys know how to make whipped cream. Okay, about that amount. Okay, and now I'm just gonna turn this on as high as I can without it splashing everywhere, okay? I'm gonna add the sugar and the cocoa powder in towards the end. So you start off really slowly, see how it goes, and then you can really crank it up, okay? So this is gonna come together very, very fast. I'm gonna grab a spoon when you guys want to. Okay, so you can see how it's getting some volume. I'm gonna add in about 2 teaspoons of sugar, okay? And this is actually gonna make it puff up more. I'm also gonna add probably about the same amount of the cocoa powder. Remember, cocoa powder is very bitter, so you need a little bit of sugar if you're gonna do cocoa powder, okay? You can absolutely do this with, you can omit the cocoa powder and you can just do vanilla and you can make a vanilla whipped cream, basically. But I think with a straight cream puff, we're just gonna do chocolate. I think it comes out really well, okay? So you guys can see how fast it's starting to turn into whipped cream right now. All right, we're where we wanna be. Okay. So knock off your beater. So I want you guys to see about the thickness on that. So there'll be a little bit of cocoa powder on the sides. You can just mix that in. Okay, no big deal. So you guys can sort of see the thickness of this right here. So, you know, I attach it to a spoon. It's not going anywhere. That's the thickness I'm looking for, all right? Okay, so we're gonna come back over here. Okay, so we got our cooled cream puffs. Before you do this, you really wanna make sure they're cold, okay? So we're just gonna cut it right in half. And as we open it, you can see there's literally a divot for it that's built for the whipped cream, honestly. So this is how you want your cream puff. So remember, the steam created this cavity. It puffed and it pressed away from everything, so it created this cavity, all right? So same thing before with that. We're gonna fill a pastry bag. This one I'm actually gonna cut the tip off first. Okay. Turn it inside out. This one's really so. And these, you can buy these by the roll, these disposable pastry bags. If you do a lot of baking at home, it's worth investing. Okay, so we're just gonna take a little bit of cream, pop it in. Remember, use the sides of the bag to get it down. Use the spoon, push it all the way in. Okay, guys. So we got our whipped cream in. We're gonna seal the bag. We're gonna close the top off. We're gonna twist, okay? We're gonna press down. Try to get all the air bubbles you can out. So the second the whipped cream hits here, stop, okay? Twist your bag. Okay, now we're gonna use the cavity in here to do this. So we're just gonna fill it with the whipped cream, okay? And you can do as little or as much as you want. We're just doing one for show, so basically we're gonna use a lot of whipped cream. Okay. Take the top. So sort of see where you cut it. They're irregular shapes, so sort of find like a pumpkin. So I can tell that this side was on that side, so make sure it comes back together the right way. Press it down. Okay, and then the last thing, just take a little dusting of powdered sugar, just sprinkle it right over the top, okay? Just make it snow. Okay. And that's our cream puff. That is our pot of choux, okay? So I want you guys to see that this was relatively easy, but it makes a fancy dessert. So we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. All right, see you later.